Welcome, parents. Hi, parents. This is Kate. First, I want to say hi, Megan. Thank you so much for joining me today. I have a plan today. I love chatting and just talking with parents, especially parents that really get it, right? Who might also have atypical kids, might have intense kids, and get the challenges that I have been going through or I have gone through myself, and also who aren't going to judge. And it's always really nice to just talk.
Definitely.
Today, I wanted to do something different. So I actually came up with a little more of a plan. All right, so this is a process, and if you want, you can get paper and a pen. We're going to go through, and I'm actually going to do this with you. And anything you're willing to share, Megan, you can, but you always, have permission to keep it more close to the chest. So, shall we do our first question?
Let's do it.
Right, so I want to start with common humanity. Who in my life allows me to feel held? And some of these questions might feel a little familiar if you've done the challenge. So I encourage you to think of someone who's got your back, someone caring, who walks alongside you through the process, someone who you really feel like you can be your wholehearted self with, who you might be willing to even ask for help. And yeah, we do all need support sometimes. None of us can go it alone. So if you have someone who's in your life right now, great. And even if they're imperfect, that's okay, name them. And if not, you can maybe imagine an ancestor or a spiritual figure or a mentor, or even like a fictional character who feels like a compassionate and supportive being in your life. So for me today, for this exercise, I'm going to use my best friend. I really feel like she's got my back and I can be myself with her. And we've known each other 30 years, at least, more than 30 years. Yeah.
That's great. I also chose some of my best friends that I feel like I've really leaned on this past year a lot. And they are also a group of people who have seen me, at my best and maybe my not so best, and are still with me.
Still there, right?
That unconditional support is really great.
So that's what we're looking for. And if you feel like you don't really have that unconditional support in your life, know that you're not alone with that either. Right? Many of us have times when we feel that way. So imagine and really create this, like I said, like this character, a fictional character. It could be a spiritual figure in your life, or an archetype, right? Someone that really that symbolizes that feeling of unconditional support, who you can imagine they have your back. And many of us do use ancestors for this. So I have visualized my grandmother. That's one. She's been gone a very long time. Doesn't matter. All right. So we want to have someone that's kind of walking alongside us before we go to the next step.
I would say too that like if I were choosing an archetype or a spiritual figure, I would probably choose Ishjel, the sort of goddess of she's the like the goddess of birth, and also of she's also the crone, and she like kind of has all these different roles, and she's also a jaguar. Like she's
Oh my God, I need to know more about her.
She's all these things, and is connected to other belief systems in Mexico and Central America that pulls on a bunch of different traditions, but she's the one that
For me, sometimes I think of ObiWan Kenobi.
I love that.
Yeah. And I also think of Lakshmi. So she is similarly this this archetype, feminine archetype, who she symbolizes abundance. And I feel sort of like I can rest back into that like nurturing and bountiful place.
I like that.
All right. So here's next. What am I struggling with that no one would know by looking at me? I'm just going to give us each a minute to consider that. So this might not be the kind of thing you usually do on Facebook Live, but I wanted to try it out. So, yeah, what am I struggling with that probably no one would know by looking at me, or people don't really kind of think of? But maybe that compassionate other, that best friend, or that being who would walk alongside you and would see you just as you are and accept you and hold you just as you are. Maybe they know about that. I'm going to go first again. Okay. Because I feel like it makes, kind of makes people feel safer. I don't know, maybe. Hopefully it makes you feel safer if I go first. So the thing that comes up today is rage, anger. I get this from my students a lot, that like they think I'm kind of this peaceful person. And I think I come across that way, and underneath there's often a lot of anxiety, and I can be quick-tempered sometimes. I've worked on it, but yeah, my anger is still there, brimming at times. So you might not know that by looking at me.
Mm-hmm. No, but I appreciate it. There's things to be angry about. So,
the injustice of the world. But I'm not even just talking about that. I'm talking about when like someone puts something in the wrong place in the kitchen. Oh. Sometimes it's that angry monster comes up a little quickly. That's why the self-care has to happen.
I was gonna say, when I do that and my kids notice, they're like, mom's hangry, mom needs to eat. They already know, like, oh, mom needs to take care of herself.
Hangry. That's why it's so easy to recognize in my kid.
Right.
No, she does.
What I put down, and I think probably a lot of us, as parents, and especially as parents of atypical kids with special extra things going on, I sometimes struggle with trusting my inner knowing, like trusting that I will know what to do.
It's hard.
And yeah, it's something I'm working on. But.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the next question. Thank you for sharing that. So that was a struggle, and this is a feeling, right? So it's a little different. Doesn't have to be a story behind it. It's just the raw feeling. And what we'll see if we can get to is that, without the story about the kitchen or the injustice of the world, what is the anger like? What's it like, right? What am I trying not to feel? Yeah, I'm trying not to feel angry. I definitely judge my anger. Just as an example, I judge it, and that makes it bigger. It doesn't make it smaller to judge it and to try and stuff it down, right? It makes it bigger, unfortunately. I'm going to try to say yes to it and just really let myself acknowledge that that's how I'm feeling and say yes to the anger.
It's a really big mindset shift to let yourself be in a place where you can let yourself feel the feelings, right? Because I think our society often demands that we just keep moving without letting us have space to just feel the feelings. Because once we feel them, we can move through them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It does take a little space, a little spaciousness, and a little trust, right?
Right.
And I would encourage anyone who's listening, if you haven't done this before, don't choose the most triggering feeling. Don't. Something that really pushes your buttons. You can say no to that one and pick up a different one and just say yes to that one. So is there a feeling, Megan, that you're willing to say yes to?
Imperfection.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why don't you read the next one?
So where do I feel this feeling in my body? Oh, that's another thing that we also have to sometimes give pause and really, where do I feel? What am I feeling in my body right now?
And I just want to acknowledge that this takes practice. It's not the kind of thing that happens first time you think about it. I mean, if you're someone who's really done a lot of embodiment practices, not just yoga, but other kinds of embodiment practices, it might be easier, but it might not.
I think for me, where I feel that sense of, I called it imperfection, but it's kind of like the fear of inadequacy, and I'm thinking, about specifically as a parent, but that could apply to anything. I think for me, in my chest, like up here in my chest, and then across my back, like, oh no, what if I'm not enough?
Not enoughness, yeah. Mm-hmm. And the burden of responsibility of advocating for our kids is a lot. So I don't know, as parents navigating the system that's really built to keep us out, right? It's built to say no, to deny, to a great extent. I don't know if we're ever going to feel adequate to surmount that. And I'm saying that from a place of a lot of privilege, right? So it feels insurmountable sometimes. For me, where do I feel it in my body? And I'm still going with the anger because I'm still willing to say yes to that for now. I would say the pit of my belly. It's kind of like right below my rib cage, but deep. And then my jaw. My jaw holds a lot of my resistance to having things be the way they are, right? There's a lot of like that kind of feeling.
Pushback,
Why? So, I mean, we can laugh about it, but it's real, right? This is like these things are happening in our bodies, whether we're doing this self-inquiry work or not. they're there. We just don't notice them. We carry them around like burdens.
Mm-hmm.
So just so you know, you're not creating this. I know you know this, Megan, but I just want to put it out there. You're not creating this discomfort. It was already there. You're just giving it a little space now. So if you want to put a hand on that spot, you could, maybe. And just we're not trying to get rid of it, right? We're just putting a hand there to acknowledge it and to kind of befriend that feeling in your body.
And what's that phrase, Kate? Name it.
Name it to tame it.
Name it to tame it. Thank you. Yeah, name it to tame it. Like once you name it and you're aware, then you can catch it like, oh, I'm feeling that feeling. What is that telling me about what's happening right now?
True. And sometimes it's it comes to me top down, like I feel the stress, I acknowledge the feeling, and then I sense it in my body. But sometimes it comes to me bottom up. Oh my God, I'm gritting my teeth again. That really hurts. Am I angry about something? What am I angry about? And then I go to the story, and then, like it sort of comes bottom up. Does that make sense?
Yep, totally makes sense.
Again, I think it takes practice, but that's where I'm at right now, where I can do that.
It's like little windows into that you can look through.
Right. The main thing is the willingness to look through that window.
Yeah.
Because so often we're like, pull the curtain down.
Yeah. Well, because there's the fear.
Don't look behind the curtain.
That if we start looking, we might go down a rabbit hole we can't get ourselves out of. But
that's why we need that guide, that compassionate one, holding, who has our back, right? Walking alongside us, has our back, sees us in our wholeness, even if we're in the mess, right? Even when we're acting in a way or feeling in a way that we don't see as the ideal parent. Everyone feels inadequate as a parent sometimes. Everyone feels angry as a parent sometimes. These are not isolated to us, right? We're not the only ones feeling this, right?
Right.
We're not.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which is so important to remember, because a lot of times we do feel very isolated in the perceived negative emotions of parenting.
Yes. So my hope is as we each acknowledge our challenges, we understand that we're not alone in them. That is so important to understand. We're not alone in them. And then if we can try just for that moment to not push away those feelings and to see where they're living in our bodies and breathe with it, then I'll take us to the next question. So there are a couple ways of looking at this. You could think of a dear friend or that compassionate other. If they were feeling this way, what you would say to them. Or if you're thinking of like an ancestor or a mentor or a wise, your wise self, or this fictional ObiWan Kenobi maybe, what would they say to you?
I think Obi-Wan would say, Master Luke, use your force.
Use the force.
Yeah.
Trust yourself, right?
Yeah.
Trust yourself. You've got this.
And you're enough. You're enough.
Yeah. And we can have a little dialogue with the feeling, right? What is the feeling trying to tell us? So anger is often about, like feeling that there's injustice, and a little feeling of like resentment about feeling powerless, at least for me, right? Mm-hmm. So when I listen to my anger and try and find out what it's, what it has to tell me, and also ask it what it needs from me. It might be the hangry situation. It might just mean I need to, have some carbs or protein, but there might be something underlying, or is there a boundary that I need to set. And, sometimes my anger will actually tell me that. And sometimes my best friend will tell me, yeah, you're doing too much, or that really wasn't fair and that wasn't right. And, it's justifiable to be angry. Don't judge yourself for being angry. So that's me. That's
sometimes even just asking, are you okay?
Mm-hmm. That's a really good one.
Yeah. And being able to answer that is really telling, right? It can tell you about the feelings of anger or inadequacy, or because it could be something else. Or I know that I have yelled at times at my kids because I seemed angry, but I was actually feeling inadequate. That there are all those layers we can dig down to. But that's definitely something a best friend or a grandmother would say. Are you okay?
And then the main thing is, once we ask that, right, we allow ourselves to hear that, like that any answer is an acceptable answer. It's okay to not be okay. Yeah, it's okay to not be okay. To feel like we won't, by being imperfect, that we won't be shut out, that we still belong. I really feel like this is such an essential for parents of atypical kids, of differently wired kids, to get, to internalize that, like, things aren't going to be perfect, but they're not perfect for anyone, mm-hmm. Parent, non-parent, but it just can feel a little more messy, a little more dysregulating, and a little more isolating when our parenting experience isn't reflected around us. And so maybe let's try that. Let's just pause and ask that feeling. Be the wise self or the ancestor. Are you okay? And avoid or watch out for the reflexive. Yeah, I'm okay. Like, it's such a reflexive thing. Go beyond that and see if you can find an answer that feels really true for you.
I think my answer right now is that I am okay, because it is okay to be struggling with what's perfectly imperfect. And it is okay to have the ups and downs in our parenting journey.
Yeah. And for me, with the anger, I think to say to myself, it's okay, because modeling setting boundaries and holding boundaries is actually something that benefits more than just me. It may feel selfish, but it is not. And it's an important thing to teach our kids, that we all are allowed to have boundaries.
Definitely.
So this is where we pause, breathe in that sense of comfort, whatever words of comfort you might have come to on your own, right? It's going to be so much more powerful and beneficial to you if those words come from inside rather than from me or anyone else. Okay. Do you feel like we need something to ground us after that? What do you think, Megan?
I actually feel pretty grounded in this moment right now, with just the affirmation of I am perfectly imperfect.
Beautiful. Yeah.
But I'm happy to stay on with you if you want to do a practice.
I just want to remind parents to, you can stay present in this moment, trust that all's going to be well, even if you're not doing all the parenting things every moment of every day. You might pause every once in a while and really let yourself kind of be saturated or be in a receptive place with that word or phrase. And the more often you do this, the more it creates a habit. Like we build up this muscle of self-compassion and willingness to do self-inquiry. It becomes easier and easier. Did you watch the Bright and Quirky Summit? One of the presenters, her name's Kristen Neff, and she is a researcher who is also a parent of an autistic kid. And her main thing that she researches is self-compassion. So she was saying that there have been about 3,000 studies already on the efficacy and the benefits of self-compassion. And some of them have been with parents of autistic kids. And what they found is, and this might be surprising, when you've got a kid who they have a lot of challenges and needs, and they really need a lot of your support, it can feel like your problems are bigger than people whose kids have fewer needs and need less support, right? That seems pretty rational. Well, the studies that she was talking about have shown that that is not the case. The well-being of the parents who had more self-compassion, just like natural self-compassion, was higher no matter what level of needs their child had. I found that really telling. Does that make sense, the way I explained it?
I think so. 'Cause what you're saying is that regardless of the
child's challenges or the amount of support that the kid needs.
Yes, that the amount of self-compassion we show to ourselves as parents is not affected by that.
Is a bigger indicator. The self-compassion is a bigger indicator of happiness and well-being. That scale where we put ourselves along that, kind of imaginary ladder of more needs, lower needs, more challenges. Yeah. And, I don't know about you, but day to day, our challenges are different too. But yeah, there are parents who have to do a lot of things just to keep their kid alive, right? And I have a lot of compassion for that, or to help their kid move around. I have so much compassion for that. I understand that that's not the same as having a kid who has trouble reading. It's not the same. And, and these studies show that no matter what, self-compassion helps us feel
That's
better.
Amazing.
It is really cool, isn't it?
I'm amazed there have been so many studies. I'm really surprised.
Yeah. So there's a lot of efficacy in self-compassion, and that's why, I just keep bringing it back in. And it's not as hard as it sounds. It's really not, right? It's a simple process. And this is one process, doing self-inquiry. There are other ways. But thank you so much for going through this one with me today.
Glad to do it with you.
Thank you all. Anyone who's listening, I love hearing from you, and I love your questions. We would love to hear your questions about self-compassion, about this self-inquiry process. What you got? All right. Thanks so much. Bye.